Louisiana hit hard by Andrew before the storm runs out of gas. In Florida, people getting help as the hurricane's toll continues to rise. And President Bush issues a no-fly ultimatum to Saddam Hussein.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. Tonight, sitting in for Tom is Catherine Couric.
Good evening. Andrew tonight is no longer a hurricane, but before it lost its punch, Louisiana was blasted by heavy rain and 150-mile-an-hour winds. And just as it did on Monday in Florida, Andrew hit Louisiana during the pre-dawn hours. While New Orleans missed the full fury of the storm, a wide area from Morgan City to Baton Rouge suffered massive damage. We have NBC's Robert Hager in Lafayette and Roger O'Neill in New Iberia. Bob, let's begin with you.
Katie, the storm took only hours to move through central Louisiana and its coast today, but residents here will be years getting over it. In Morgan City, the storm ripped the roof off a service station. In La Place, a tornado spawned by the hurricane demolished homes and businesses, leaving 1 dead and 30 injured. Troy Becknell escaped.
And I grabbed my wife and we started trying to get to the bathroom, and by that time the wall came down on top of us. My wife was trapped under me, and it just took a while, you know, we got out.
It was evident the storm called Andrew packed nearly the same punch it had delivered to Miami Monday. Here in Lafayette, 3,500 huddled in shelters, but as the wind grew more dangerous, many were awakened at 3 a.m.
We're too close to the glass, and we're going to move you over in this area across the way.
Move them to hallways with no glass. Good thing as dawn came, and with it, the full fury of the storm. At mid-morning, the center of the storm passed Lafayette, the eye moving just to the east. And then it was over. Relieved occupants of the shelters emerged
going home.
to assess the damage. What they saw was this, and this, and this. In the town of Houma, residences were badly damaged. Cliff Pittman's furniture store was a wreck. He spent the morning trying to protect what merchandise he has left under what he has left of his roof. But already the cleanup has started here. In the end, damage here will run in the billions of dollars, but it's not so expensive as in Miami. The area here was less populated, the wind not quite so strong. Louisiana is hurting, but not so badly as southern Florida. Katie?
Thanks a lot, Bob. Now to Roger O'Neill with the before, during, and after in the city of New Iberia. Roger?
It was a night, Katie, which just would not end. For those of us who were here, residents and reporters, it was a storm, the likes of which we have never seen before. This was the safest place to go, the high school.
This is his first, only one.
It would have been nice to be young again, not to know enough to worry. But with 1,800 others chased here by Andrew, there was a calm feeling. And for a while, the mood inside the New Iberia Senior High School mirrored the relative, if only temporary, calm of the approaching storm. But between 1 and 2 a.m., the hurricane came. And for the next 5 hours, it kept coming. At the Emergency Operations Center, they said the wind blew 120 miles an hour, with gusts to 140. Whatever it was enough to blow the roof off the school. And with it, the calm of this safe place.
Move down to the last floor. Be careful. Come on, y'all doing great. Good, good. Y'all gonna have to leave some of that stuff here. Bring the main thing.
In this town, at least, last night, it seemed wherever there were people, there was trouble. At the hotels along the highway, the locals filled up the rooms, and here, too, the roofs were blown off. At the Best Western, at the Holiday Inn. And just when it couldn't get any worse, it did. There was a natural gas leak, and already scared children got more scared.
We got a gas line, but we need help. We're trying to get the hell out of here. That's what we're trying to do.
With almost everything broke in New Iberia, this gas station owner struck gold when he opened for business today. The power has been off for almost 18 hours and still is. But a rented generator turned on the pumps and the cash registers to take in all the money. And the fixing continues to go on in New Iberia as it does elsewhere in Louisiana. The storm did pass quickly once it finally passed. In fact, Katie, the sun even came out for just a little bit today.
All right, thanks, Roger. In Florida, the death toll from Andrew is now 15, and damage is estimated at $20 billion, almost twice that of the San Francisco earthquake 3 years ago. While it's just too early to estimate the damage in Louisiana, one thing is clear: Andrew was the most destructive natural disaster in American history. NBC's Noah Nelson reports on Florida after Andrew.
This is my family room and kitchen. All that's left.
For Ann Mitchell, the devastating reality of what she and her family have lost just sank in today. The Mitchells live in Country Walk, a once tidy Miami suburb ravaged by the hurricane.
After 30 years, this is all we have left.
Like 180,000 others in Florida, the Mitchells are now homeless. Their dream house and the things they cherished, like this grandfather clock, lie on the front lawn.
You have no idea what it's like to sit on a wall and pray. And that's the only room that was left intact.
Really, I'm not this bad of a housekeeper.
A short distance away, a neighbor, Brenda Smith, jokes to keep from crying while surveying what her family has left.
Oh, God. Well, I guess that doesn't mean anything anymore.
We got nothing to drink.
In South Florida, as shock begins to wear off, new emotions like anger and frustration are setting in.
Where are they to help us, the Americans, that pay the taxes, that do the things, that follow the rules, that help everybody else in the world? Where are they when we need the help?
Almost 600,000 families have no electric power. In some of the hardest hit areas, there is still no mail or telephone service, and people are wondering when the suffering will end. Supermarkets, those able to function, have reopened, but they are very few. Many people resent being told to wait.
I think that this is a very bad thing that people have to stand out in this line at 6 o'clock in the morning to get 2 bags of ice.
Those whose homes have been damaged or destroyed are having trouble reaching their insurance agents because of the thousands of claims being filed all at once.
It's time now to write the checks and get these people's lives back in order and get them some money so that they can start to rebuild.
People aren't the only homeless victims of the hurricane. At the Miami Zoo, one of the largest in the country, 300 birds are dead or missing, and dozens of animals are running free amid the destruction. Noah Nelson, NBC News, Miami.
When Nightly News continues, George Bush warned Saddam Hussein, stay away from southern Iraq. The United States and its allies gave Saddam Hussein the word today. Any Iraqi aircraft that flies south of the 32nd parallel will be attacked as of 10:15 tomorrow morning Eastern Time. NBC's Fred Francis is at the Pentagon tonight. Dennis Murphy is in Baghdad. Fred, let's begin with you.
Katie, the president's big stick warning included the threat of a wider military action in addition to shooting at Iraq's Air Force if the attacks on Shiites in the south continue. Operation Southern Watch begins when U.S. pilots once again patrol Iraq with orders from the president to down all Iraqi aircraft in the zone. Allied radar planes will sweep the Iraqi skies, serving, as one Pentagon official described it, as the new arm of the Shiite rebels. The president confirmed this new policy was protection for Saddam's enemies.
We continue to look forward to working with a new leadership in Baghdad, one that does not brutally suppress its own people and violate the most basic norms of humanity.
The killing zone covers the southern one-third of Iraq, giving air protection to more than 30,000 rebels. U.S. jets will take on Iraqi combat planes, which have been used against the rebels, as well as helicopters, which have been used to spot artillery targets.
We are not focusing on the ground operation this time. I'm not going to suggest that it won't have an effect. I think it certainly could have an effect on their ability to operate there if they're not able to fly aircraft.
But Saddam is not without options. The wily dictator has the ability to suck the U.S. into a wider conflict or an embarrassing standoff. Pentagon officials doubt if Saddam will risk his few remaining modern fighters. But he may send commercial airliners into the zone, daring U.S. airmen to kill civilians. He could order out of Iraq all UN employees and inspection teams. He might try to lure U.S. Army forces into a fight by staging a massive offensive. One U.S. general said, "We'd look silly if we stood by while Saddam's army kills our new allies, the Shiites." So the concern at the Pentagon tonight is, where does this end? Will the president commit ground forces if Saddam comes on strong? What is the mission? Is there an end game this time? Katie?
Thanks, Fred. Now to NBC's Dennis Murphy in Baghdad. Dennis, at the UN tonight, Iraq's ambassador said that Saddam won't tolerate this ultimatum. What exactly does that mean?
Well, what they're telling us here, Katie, is that they will fight back. They will fire on U.S. planes if they're attacked. But President Saddam Hussein has not spoken on the record yet about this latest crisis.
Baghdad was calm tonight, just Iraqis going home from work when Bush made his announcement. Street reaction was predictable, drilled in rhetoric, stated without passion. He says, "We will shoot down any American planes that come here."
I'm ready to fight for my home.
But the evening news didn't tell viewers what they were expected to fight for. There was no mention of the Allied threat to shoot down planes, just vague allusions to a Western conspiracy. The newscaster said, "Bush won't be president forever." Before the White House announcement, I asked the Iraqi Minister of Information if Iraq would resist the U.S.-led flyovers.
When we are attacked, we will defend ourselves.
Defend meaning what?
Any air defense system will be used when the country is attacked.
It will be used against invading aircraft.
Of course. This is the mission of the air defense system.
The Shiites President Bush says he is defending against Iraqi aggression live in swamps in the far southeast corner of the country, near Iran. The Iraqis tonight are proposing that observers from neutral countries go to the marshes and report back on what they find there.
In the crowd of men I talked to tonight, one of them gestured like that. He zipped his lips, indicating to me he could not speak his mind in public. Katie?
Thank you, Dennis. Now to John Cochran at the White House for the political implications of all this. John?
Katie, the people in the Bush camp who say he has no political motives in threatening Saddam also say the Iraq card could be decisive in a close election.
Bush himself reacts sharply to any suggestion that Americans will smell politics, since his warning comes as he faces an uphill fight for re-election.
Well, do you think it looks funny, the British people, the French people, the Saudi people? The answer is no. I'm not concerned about that in the least.
Bush provided intelligence briefings to Bill Clinton, who gave his support, but also repeated his charge that the president ended the war last year just a little too early.
General Schwarzkopf, it's now a matter of record, urged that the fighting go on for another day and a half so that several hundred tanks could be destroyed, the Republican Guard could be weakened, the overthrow of Saddam by internal forces would be made more likely.
Pentagon officials admit they should have continued the war another day or two, but they say it was their mistake, not Bush's. Commanders, including Schwarzkopf, back up Bush's account that he simply followed their advice, which was based on faulty intelligence. Now, 17 months after the war, Bush is moving belatedly to protect the Shiites. Bush waited until a new UN report provided evidence of Saddam's repression.
What emerges from eyewitness accounts is further graphic proof of Saddam's brutality.
A lot of voters may wonder why the Shiites have suddenly become so important. Voters may also remember that Bush's popularity went up after foreign policy successes such as the early meetings with Mikhail Gorbachev, the capture of Manuel Noriega, and the big one, the Gulf War.
Americans today are much more cynical about a president's motives in acting on foreign policy during a campaign than they used to be.
The most convincing argument that Bush's motives are pure come from his aides who say, "Are you kidding? This thing could blow up in our face if it ends in American casualties, or if Saddam comes out of this looking stronger than ever come November." Katie?
Thanks, John. Also in Washington today, the case against former CIA spy master Claire George was declared a mistrial. He was accused of lying to cover up the Iran-Contra deal.
Thank you.
On America Close Up tonight, we begin a three-part series on American education in conjunction with NBC's Brokaw Reports this Saturday and USA Today. Tonight, the Magnet School. It was designed to provide better teaching of specialized subjects. It's become a model for schools all over the country. There are about 5,000 magnet schools in the U.S. In major cities, they enroll about 1 in every 5 high school students. NBC's George Lewis reports from Los Angeles.
Guys, let's go. You got to be in class, or you got to be picking. It doesn't matter what the hook is. That's not important at all. It matters that you get them hooked and bring them in. Guys.
Getting students hooked on learning is a passion with Jim Burke, who at 32 is the youngest principal in the LA school system. At Hamilton High, the hook is specialized programs in music and the humanities, and a chance for kids to work with some of the best teachers in the city.
Creating a customized curriculum towards a specific area. That's what excites students, that's what excites parents, that's what excites teachers. Bye, Mom.
Carlos Perez has to leave home at 6:15 every morning to catch the bus to Hamilton High.
If I had gone to my school, my home school, I probably would have gone into gang activity just because that's everybody in my neighborhood is practically a gang.
Now he belongs not to a gang, but to Hamilton High's Music Academy.
I like music a lot. I found that it's like one of the things that's like deep within my being.
Have a good day.
All right.
Colin Felton's parents can afford to send him to private schools. Instead, they and he chose Hamilton High's humanities program.
Going to the humanities, not only do I have the opportunities to get an education that's just as high quality as I would for private education, but I'm there with people from different backgrounds, different class levels, different races.
7 years ago, the school's enrollment was declining, the faculty was demoralized, and officials were talking about shutting the place down. Burke used a lot of hustle to turn the school around, bending a few rules in the process and stepping on some toes.
I have absolutely no patience for rules or procedures that inhibit the ability to provide services to the classroom.
A former music teacher, Burke lobbied for instruments and enough funds to turn the school's industrial shops into music studios. The school has received corporate grants and donations totaling about $3 million. Some people think it's unseemly for educators like Jim Burke to be out hustling like this, but he says the bottom line is results, how well the kids do.
He's a music man. He's a what? He's a what? He's a music man. And he's a...
Just before summer vacation started, the students put on a production of The Music Man.
Big breath space.
That's the show about a fast-talking salesman who comes to town and promises to get kids out of trouble by enlisting them in a band. Jim Burke has a few things in common with that man.
When that student says, I chose, that means that student is saying, I want. And the minute they say, I want, they will.
Carlos. At a time when public education is regarded as a national problem, Jim Burke believes his school is an exception.
Congratulations. We're preparing students at Hamilton who are more prepared to compete than virtually any school in the country.
George Lewis, NBC News, Los Angeles.
On America Close Up tomorrow, no more schools out for summer. NBC's Bob Dotson on how 22 states now have year-round public schools. Here's a quick check now of some of today's other news. Hundreds of rockets rained on Bosnia's capital, the worst overnight pounding in weeks. 18 fires, one destroying the old Moorish town hall. This as a peace conference began on the Yugoslav war. World leaders saying the fighting must end or else. And in Spain, this is one way to get rid of too many overripe tomatoes, an annual festival where you're a nobody unless you get tomatoed and help paint the town red. Looks like fun. John Chancellor joins us now with some thoughts on the Republican Party's focus on women. John?
Katie? Until yesterday, I thought Jesse Jackson had said the craziest thing this year when he compared Dan Quayle of the White House to King Herod of the Bible. Then I saw the Associated Press story on Pat Robertson and the Equal Rights Amendment. Robertson said the ERA, quote, is about a socialist anti-family political movement that encourages women to leave their husbands, kill their children, practice witchcraft, destroy capitalism, and become lesbians. Well,
Robertson is a prominent Republican, a featured speaker at last week's Republican convention, and he ties the ERA to witchcraft and infanticide. Republican strategists must be aghast. What is curious this year is that the Republicans are taking so many stands that make women angry. The president argues for families with fathers and mothers, but only one household in 4 with young children now includes both mom and dad. How do millions of single mothers feel about the president's stand? The Republicans imply that some women work because they find family life oppressive. More than 50 million people do work, and millions have to because their families need the money. They're not rebels who find family life oppressive. On abortion, the Republicans have taken the hardest possible line against a woman's right to choose. How does that go down with the 55 million women of childbearing and voting age? Barry Goldwater says the Republicans will lose the presidency on the abortion issue. Women outnumber men, and more are registered to vote than men. The Republicans are taking a huge risk treating women this way. Katie?
Thank you, John. Mickey Edwards of Oklahoma, 4th-ranking Republican in the House, has lost his bid for an 8th term. He was one of the worst offenders in the House bank scandal. And Peace Corps Director Elaine Chao was named as head of the United Way of America, replacing William Aramone, fired for misusing funds. On Wall Street, stocks got a boost from a stronger dollar overseas today. Trading was moderate. Summarizing tonight's top 2 stories now, President Bush was in Louisiana tonight. Earlier, he released $10 million to pay for cleanup jobs in Florida. As for Andrew, it caused scattered heavy damage in central Louisiana, though not as severe as in Florida. Tonight, it has weakened to a tropical storm. And on that showdown with Iraq, the U.S. and its allies set a 24-hour deadline for Saddam Hussein to get his aircraft out of southern Iraq. President Bush said the allies will attack any violators. That's Nightly News for this Wednesday evening. I'm Katie Couric. Good night.